Oh my God, y'all. I did it. Last week was my first ever Design to Win retreat. Listen, what I experienced this past weekend changed me because I finally understood the responsibility that comes with being trusted to lead women through transformation while still navigating my own humanity at the same time. Because when I tell y'all, life was life in, it was life in. This year started off as a really hard emotional season for me, and so while I was trying to build something for the very first time, something meaningful and purposeful, life was just hitting me in every direction. But what this retreat taught me is sometimes the real breakthrough is not arriving without pressure or unforeseen circumstances. Sometimes the breakthrough is realizing you kept doing it anyway. You kept building anyway. I think a lot of people believe that purpose feels peaceful all the time, but sometimes that purpose feels very heavy and really real. Okay, sometimes purpose looks like crying in private while showing up in public like everything is good. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes purpose looks like building while your heart is tired. Your finances are stretched, your emotions are everywhere, and your life doesn't fully make sense yet. And that's what I want to talk about today because life will punch you in the mouth while you're building, okay? And you have to decide if the vision you're carrying is only valid if life feels easy. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions people believe is once you start finally, you have your vision, you wrote it plain, you know what I'm saying? You're walking in it, purpose starts, everything flows perfectly. And that has not been my experience at all. And I want to be honest with people because I want people, as a matter of fact, one of the things I do is I help high achieving women get their mind and their money right so that they can walk in their calling and their purpose. And what I don't want them to do is have this false sense of, what it takes. Because a lot of times, a lot of coaches come on here and they speak from a perspective of, oh, it's super, super easy. Everything's going to flow. That's not the truth. It's just not true. It doesn't mean though that it's going to be so devastating that you can't keep doing it, or it's so hard you can't you don't have any resilience. That's not it either. There is an in between place where there's sometimes when it flows nice and easy. It's just like life, and then there's sometimes it's going to dip down. Sometimes it's going to go really high. Sometimes it's going to even out. But you know, it's something that we all kind of experience. I don't really know anyone who has done something big and it's just been smooth sailing. I'm just the one that's going to come and tell you the truth because this year started off really hard for me emotionally. I cried almost every day. I was heartbroken. I was trying to process my disappointment, my grief, my uncertainty, relationship loss, just pressure from doing something for the very first time, not really knowing how to do it, and still somehow, still having to lead at the same time, still working in my corporate job. Because for those of you who don't know, I'm still in my corporate job, and it'll be 29 years in September, and on top of that, I was building one of the biggest things I had ever built in my life. This was my Mount Kilimanjaro. I tell this story all the time about sometimes people want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, right? And I think it's a beautiful thing. And but it's but climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, I mean, you lose all your body is aching. The gravity changes, the pressure changes. Sometimes people get headaches. It's so many things that happen when you're on the way to climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Let me tell you something about you breathe a little differently, okay? And that's what I felt like building this retreat. Um, because what made this a different level, it was the responsibility that was attached to it. It's one thing, like I coach all the time. I have a small community. It's called 1% Nation. I coach via one-to-one clients via Zoom. That's one thing. It's a whole other thing to have women physically come into a room, get butts in seats. For those of you who put on events, put butts in seats, and to trust you with their vulnerability, their healing, confidence, their truth, their stories, and their transformation. That's a different way because not everybody, trusts people with that. And so I had to get to a place like, wow, this is heavy. These women are trusting me. And so there were moments, let me tell you something too, when you're building something, I questioned myself. I didn't know whether people were going to sign up to come to my retreat. I didn't know if it was good enough. I was questioning everything, you know, and then it was like moments where I wondered, like, if can I really do this? Can I really do this? And I'm gonna tell you, the financial pressure was real. I'm not a lie about my business. It wasn't producing numbers like that, so when you have to, pay for the venue and all these other things, you're thinking about selling tickets. And I'll be very honest with you a little later about the financial piece of it. But there was moments where I actually felt emotionally exhausted before the retreat even got here. First of all, I had more energy when the retreat was here than I did before, because there was just so much happening, right? So much going on. But the one thing I learned is that life doesn't wait until you feel emotionally, physically, or mentally ready to see if you really believe in what you say you wanted. And nobody really talks about that, but everybody posts the breakthrough, right? Very few people talk about the internal warfare that happens before any breakthrough arrives, because you're going to go through a mix of emotions, but purpose does not always arrive with peace first. Sometimes it arrives demanding. I mean, it was demanding that I grow into the next version, that you grow into the next version of yourself while your life still feels messy. Sometimes it arrives demanding that you grow into the next version of you while your life still feels messy. Somebody need to hear that today. I think a lot of people stop building because they think resistance means they're on the wrong path. But sometimes resistance is really asking you a question. Is this really what you want? Or do you really mean what you said you wanted? Because it's going to test you. It's going to test every part of you. Is this what you really want? Are you, because the follow through is everything. Anybody can start something, but when life gets really super tough and you keep going, that's so different. But it's going to ask you, is this what you really want? And that sometimes I would ask you, but I punch you in the mouth, because that's what it did to me. Okay, right? But there came a point during preparation for this retreat where I realized this assignment had become bigger than my emotions, and I didn't ignore my feelings. I mean, I realized women were attached to my obedience. Women were attached to my decision to keep going, my willingness to push past my fear, the uncertainty, the disappointment, the exhaustion, and keep building anyway. Because it wasn't that the fear wasn't there. Everybody think I'm a super uber confident, and I am in some areas, but not for something I've never done before. Absolutely not. This is something I had never done before. I was scared. Are people going to show up? So it was a big thing. But here's the thing, though. Knowing that these women were trusting me anyway, like, that changed something in me. Because look, when your vision only survives when life feels easy, it's not a vision, it's convenience. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's not, it's Listen, it's not a vision, it's convenience, because it's not gonna be easy all the time. Sometimes it is. I'm not saying that because people think, oh, it can't be smooth sailing. Sometimes it is smooth sailing, and sometimes it is simply not. A lot of people want purpose until purpose start costing them comfort, and it's going to cost you something. You got to sacrifice something. I sacrificed a lot last year, especially in terms of my finances. It was like, listen, if I don't get everybody in, it's not, I'm not even going to break even. And I did not break even, but thank God I had a financial plan and money set aside to cover the cost of things. Because when you build it, you got to think bigger than today. Especially when you're first starting a business. That's why I haven't quit my corporate job. They're my first investors into my business. And you find out how committed you are to your vision the moment life gives you a reason to stop. And life gave me a reason to stop a few times. A few times. Seasonal depression, whatever you want to call it, in the wintertime, the winter blues. I was feeling that. I was feeling like, man, I'm in a place I don't want to be anymore. in terms of like my corporate career. I was feeling the pressure of that. I was feeling the loss of a breakup. I was mourning my cousin who had passed away. She had passed away a year prior, but I didn't really get a chance to really grieve her. So it hit me like a ton of bricks this year. I was going through it. Not to mention, right before my retreat, so my where she happened this past weekend, the literally a couple of days before the retreat, they found a lump in my left breast. It was like, oh, you got to have a biopsy. I had to schedule to have a biopsy on Monday, the Monday after my retreat. This is what I'm telling you. It's life gonna happen. But I remember thinking to myself, I can't let what I'm personally going through stop me from becoming who I said I was becoming. This is who I said I was, right? And it doesn't mean I was emotionless. I keep telling you, I cried. I was questioning. I was questioning everything. Okay, I was like, Lord, look at here, Jesus. That's how I talk to Him. What's going on? I felt overwhelmed at times. That's what I was crying about too. Sometimes it feels overwhelming because I was in here. It was me and Jesus. It was that Jesus. Let me give my disclaimer. I'm not here to tell you who and what you believe, what to believe. I believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He is my business partner, and him and I was working through it. Okay, and he helped me in so many ways. My faith, my foundation helped me in so many ways. It helped me to keep moving. This retreat stretched me. I'm telling you, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and physically. And physically. I was beat down. But somewhere in the middle of it all, I stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, who am I becoming through this? Because what I realized, who he was building me to be, is going to take me to my next level. And the other thing I said to myself too, I was like, wow, God is trusting me with his daughters. That's a big thing. When he trusts you with his children, he's trusted me. That changed everything. Because pain will either make you retreat inward or go higher. And I made a decision that in this season, this wasn't going to bury me. The enemy wasn't going to bury me. Whatever was happening wasn't going to bury me. No, it wasn't going to happen. And I still can't fully explain what happened in that room this past week. I'm telling y'all, I went to different dimensions, realms, all the things in that room. And honestly, I don't think everything that like those some powerful experience can be explained in words. Some things you just have to experience. And I'm not just saying that. At the end, I'm gonna have some powerful testimonies you can see for yourself. I'm not just saying that. Like it really, like what I witnessed in that room was women finally exhaling, watching walls come down, watching people stop performing, stop trying to put on. I watched women say things out loud they have buried for years. I watched confidence return to women, and that women who are solely disconnected from themselves trying to just survive a life. And I'm sorry if I sound a little funny. I got Invisalign last week, so my speech sounds a little bit, but I'm sure you hear me okay. And what I'm saying is transformation, generational transformation happening in that room, because I watched these women change in such a way I knew was going to affect every single person that came into contact with them. And the craziest part is while I was pouring into them, something was happening to me too. I realized everything I went through this year did not disqualify me for leading. As a matter of fact, it qualified me more because it deepened my ability to hold space for compassion, grace, honesty, and strength, all while understanding that you're gonna go through these things, and you still can show up in such a way to hold a container of safety. Some people lead from theory, information only. Some people lead from survival. I lead from experience. And the reason, I think that's the reason why the room felt the way it did. Because your energy goes before you. People feel if it's fake. And I'm going to tell you something else. Your pain is dangerous when it only breaks you. Your pain becomes powerful when it teaches you how to hold other people with grace. That's how I transmuted all the pain. I took it and I held space for these women, these beautiful women who trusted me. And they came in and they got the transformation that they needed in this season. There was a moment where I looked around the room and I was like, yo, God trusted me with this. All of this. All of this. That's a heavy responsibility. And he didn't trust me because I was perfect or I had any answers, but he trusted me because I was willing. Many are called, but few say yes. But some people are not saying yes because they're afraid. And here's the thing, fear is going to happen. They also are not willing because when the moment things get too hard, they quit. They go through grief and heartache and they just stop. Allow that to fuel you. I allow that to fuel me. I allow it to fuel me, not stop me. And I think sometimes we underestimate what can happen when somebody is simply willing to keep showing up fully, despite what's happening in your life. You underestimate you when you stop showing up fully. But I'm telling you, when you show up and you're a willing, able participant, everything won't be unicorns, rainbows, and sunshine in the beginning. But when you walk through that thing, I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. It's going to change your life. And I think one of the biggest mindset shifts I had in this experience is realizing that life is never going to completely pause so you can comfortably build your dreams. It's not. Life is going to keep moving. Problems going to keep showing. There's going to be a problem for every problem. But if there's a problem for every problem, then there's a solution for every problem, right? And so people are going to disappoint you. Finances are going to stretch you. I'm gonna tell you, finances are going to stretch you. Relationships are going to change. Some people who may be here, may not be there while you're building, may not be there after, and that's painful. I want to pick up the phone and be like, oh my God, I did it. But that relationship had gone. The ship had sailed. It's done. It's over. So that's gonna happen. Fear is gonna show up. Doubt is gonna show up. That small voice in the back of your head that is gonna show up saying, oh, who do you think you are? You're not worthy. Who do you think you are to put on something or to do something big or to say you want to change people's lives? It's gonna show up. And you still have to decide who you're going to be. Are you going to be the person that's going to do it, or are you going to be the person that's just going to continue to talk about it and never be about it? Some people quit because life got heavy. Other people became unforgettable because they kept building while life was heavy. I've decided I want to become one of those unforgettable people. What are you going to decide you want to become is the question. Because this retreat wasn't built from perfect circumstances. It was built from faith, resilient, sacrifice, obedience, more tears. I probably could have filled up half a river with all the tears I had. Pressure, uncertainty. There is no such thing as certainty. When you're going after something big, there is no certainty. You got to let it go. There is no control. It is not. And there was the refusal to abandon myself. I wasn't going to abandon this vision. I had wrote it. I prayed. I wrote this vision a year ago. I wasn't going to quit. I wanted to at times, though. I wanted to at times. I need somebody to hear that. Sometimes it was weekly, but I refused. I knew there was something bigger waiting on the other side. And honestly, I really think that's why it impacted the people at the retreat the way it did. I keep telling y'all, people can feel when it's built from real life instead of from AI. You can't build this from AI. You can't stand in front of these people and get generational transformation speaking from theory. You can't do it. People are not looking for perfect leaders. As a matter of fact, they don't exist. They're looking for honest ones. The version of you that changes lives is usually built in the seasons where your own life is a hot mess, where you're the most uncomfortable, where everything is falling apart. Everything. And I mean everything. Okay? But that's the version that's going to change lives because they actually walk through it. I also realized something else this week. Triumph, victory, honey, because there was victory, is not just crossing the finish line. Victory is becoming the person who refuses to stop believing in what you are carrying, even while life is trying to convince you to shrink, to quit, to turn back, all the things. Victory is becoming the person who refuses to stop. You got to refuse to stop. Even when things get funny. And let me remember I said I was going to tell you some truth in this, right? This is my very first retreat, and I had it at a ski resort, a very beautiful 5-star ski resort. And I did not make money on my first retreat. I didn't even break even. See, most people won't come and tell you the truth of that. I'm going to tell you the truth. But I had to go through the first one to learn some things. So now I know the things that's going to change for next year so that I can earn a profit. Sometimes when you first do something, you're not going to earn a profit and you can't quit. What you have to do is steward your finances well when you're building so you know that sometimes you got to come out of pocket. You hiring an media team? A media team is not cheap. Hiring the media team depends upon where you have it. Some people will tell you to host your retreat at a cheaper venue or whatever else. If you have an opportunity to do something like that, so be it. That's not what I chose. I chose something different. I chose to step into the woman that I was becoming. The woman that I'm becoming chooses to have her events in certain spaces, in certain places. And she works with women who are ready, willing, and able to go to their next level. Ready, willing, and able. And here's the thing, not because they're not fearful. I think a lot of people are fearful of stepping into their next level. But there's something called heart. You gotta have heart, honey. You gotta have heart. I got heart. I have heart. And be just and to keep going. But I also have a spiritual foundation. So when times got rough, and I also have a spiritual community. Let's not get this twisted. I've said this in many videos before. You have to have, if you want to be successful, you have to have something, these things in your toolbox. And what's in my toolbox is a therapist, a coach, a mentor, and two communities. Why? Because you need people. If Jesus had 12 disciples, why do you think you don't need anybody in your life? You might want to think about that, right? But if you are in a season right now where life keeps hitting you from every direction, I know what that feels like, but I want you to hear me clearly. Don't confuse a hard season with a meaningless one. If you can just look at it from a different perspective, I promise you, I promise you, it's going to be one of your most transformative seasons of your life. I'm telling you, some of the most transformative seasons of your life will feel confusing while you're inside of it. You can't see yourself inside the picture frame sometimes. You may feel stretched emotionally, financially, mentally, spiritually, or relationally, like I was, and even physically sometimes, right? But then you got to look at each area. Okay, how can I get help with learning emotional intelligence? How can I steward my finances better? Who do I need to talk to help me with my mental? Like spiritually, how can I tap in more with whoever and whatever I believe in, right? And then relationally, sometimes you just got to let it go so you can grow. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be painful, and you may cry. But here's what you don't get to do: you don't get to quit on life and quit on other people. There are 4 billion people on this earth. Don't you stop because of one that's in your ecosystem. Do you realize that if you just go to a whole other state, you'll meet a whole other ecosystem of people? And if you keep meeting the same people along the way, that don't mean anything about the people. It may be something in you that's not changing. There's something in you that you're not opening up to. And I'm not telling you that things are your fault. I'm saying that once I started leveling up and going to different spaces, I stopped meeting the same people in a different body because I was different. My energy wasn't even attracting them. Okay. So, and it doesn't mean that if you attract somebody different, they're meant to stay in your life the entire time. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. They may just be there for a season to unlock something in you. Because I promise you that most of the people who have left my life have unlocked something deep in me. Right? And so this retreat taught me that sometimes the greatest miracles is not just what God does for you, honey. Absolutely not. Some of the greatest miracles is realizing what God can do through you while you're still healing, growing, rebuilding, and becoming. What God did through me in that room, I could have never imagined in my life. Do you understand me? Things happen in the room that I didn't even know was going to happen. I mean, right on the instant, Holy Spirit would tell me to do something, and I would change it, and it just would change everything in the room. But this is about being obedient and being able to hear. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I felt levitated off the ground at times. It was like my body was physically there, but honey, I was someplace else and something else was speaking through me. Okay. And that's because I was willing to be an open vessel. I was willing to be an open vessel. And because I was willing to be an open vessel, it opened those women up. So what is God trusting you with? What is He trusting you with? I know it feels scary, but just know that you can do it. You can absolutely do this. And I'm super excited. I'm planning my 2027 retreat right now. The dates are going to be August 29th through May 1st. Um, now it's going to be different because I know a little bit. I know some things now. But it was perfect for this year. Everything happened perfectly. So I just want you to know that victory is not in the absence of hard, it's not in the absence of fear. It is the evidence that you refuse to let either one of those have the final say. I refuse to let hard and fear have the final say. So that's why I was able to be victorious this weekend. And I wasn't victorious because of me. Let's not get this twisted. I was victorious because the women experienced transformation. It's not about you, it's about the fruits of your business. What does the fruit show? My fruit show that they were transformed by the renewal of their mind. That's what happened in that room. Watching them, the walls just come tumbling down. The things, the stress and pressure that had been on them for years. When God allows you to see that, that's a miracle. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not just proud of what I built. I'm proud of who the woman I've become. So this is how you build confidence. So everybody want to know. I've done my first retreat. I'm confident in what God has called me to. I'm confident that I can do it. Does it mean I won't feel fear the next one? Absolutely not. But I know now, and I know now that I can do it. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me. That's what I've come to know. So let me know in the comments, what is God calling you to? What are you stepping into for the remainder of 2026? And for those of you who are mothers, happy Mother's Day. Today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I'm thinking about all the people who have their mothers and those who don't. Just know that I love you. Just know that your mother loves you. And I know that we go through a lot of things with our mothers, honey. And trust me, I know. And just like I know my kids go through a lot with me. And know that in her own way, she loves you. And I know sometimes that's hard for people to hear. Um, because of life circumstances do beat people down and they put people in mental prisons that some of us will never understand. But just know that even if you don't have a mom, know that I'm a mom that loves you. I hope you have a most wonderful rest of your day. Have a great Sunday, and I will talk to you next week. And stay on, because the testimonials is gonna be at the end of this video. Bye now.
I am here at the Design to Win retreat with one of my favorite coaches, Tarnissha. So far, I feel like there's nothing that's not attainable. Tarnissha is going to push you to go beyond yourself. She is pushing everything out of us so that we can be our best selves. I just encourage any woman that is trying to either develop themselves or push themselves to the next level, take some time for yourself and attend the retreat if you have the time, because it is powerful, it is life changing. And I just thank God that I had this opportunity to attend.
When I came, I wasn't exactly sure why I was here. I believe I needed to be in this space, not just for me, but possibly for other people. And so I'm really feeling grateful for the fact that I actually said yes to this experience. And when I walked through the door, Mo really helped me to change my energy, and I feel transformed. And I think this conference gave me time to kind of just be still and really think about the things that they were asking me to think about to make me a better person. So the word that's always going to come to mind is grateful. I would do it again.
We are here for an amazing event that is hosted by Tarnissha, a room full of amazing women that have invested in themselves to come and spend the weekend to talk about who they are becoming, and who they are going to be when they walk out of the doors. None of this comes to surprise from me, that she is here creating this space for women that I know that's going to go national, is going to go worldwide. She creates that space for you, but she is just a God-fearing woman that we all should have in our lives as a friend. Walking out, I no longer feel like I'm as vulnerable. I'm not ashamed of how I feel, and I'm just ready to conquer all of the things that she pulled out of me while I was here. I just wish Tarnissha so much more success in the future.